What is going on, Hawks Nation? We are back with another episode of the HFTV podcast brought to you by Alex and Mac. And man, it was a fantastic. It's been a great month for us, right, Mac? We're undefeated in November. We're 7-3. Our team is starting to click. Nate's starting to make some adjustments. Hey, how are we feeling today?
I'm feeling wonderful, man. I'm feeling wonderful. Hawks fans, I hope all of you guys are feeling wonderful too. Since our last episode, as Alex just mentioned, we have gone on a three-game winning streak, and those weren't against three bozo teams. The
Oh,
Knicks
sir.
are not a bad team whatsoever. Very respectable. Pelicans, same thing. They got three studs on that team. Some depth to it as well. And shit, man. Obviously, the Bucks are the best team in the NBA right now. So these were not three, throwaway games that we won here, guys. So I'm feeling great, man. I feel this was an incredible little start to the month of November for us, and we'll obviously highlight this more as we recap the games. But Trey getting injured in the Knicks game, and then kind of having that swollen eye, and DeJounte having to take on a bigger role. Like, I think that was what made me the most excited about these last three games, was just seeing that we are able to win meaningful basketball games when Trey Young isn't either A, on the floor, or B, playing his best. And that's just something awesome to me. So I'm pumped about that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I'll be honest, guys. I'm sure if you guys follow us on Twitter at HawksFanTV, I was a little pessimistic, if you want to say, in that first quarter last night. I'm not gonna lie. I basically was convinced we were gonna lose, and when Dejounte was sitting on the bench, I thought our bench unit was gonna get blown out because I was just wondering where are the points gonna come from, right? Because all up until this point, we had either one of Trey or Dejounte on the court at all times, which helped the offense flow. But man, I was glad to be wrong, Mac. That was a dominant performance on both ends of the court. Nate did his thing. I know we've been super critical about Nate McMillan in his rotations and his timeout management, et cetera, et cetera. But he coached a masterful game. So I gotta give him some credit. And as you mentioned, 3-0 in the month of November. The Knicks, they're a mediocre team. They are the definition of average, and that's no slight to them. It's just a fact, right? They're 5-5. 0-5 against teams 500 or better, 0-5 against or 5-0 against below 500 teams. So they're right there in the middle of the pack. And we won in double-digit fashion. Pelicans, really strong team, playoff contending team in the West, got the dub there in overtime. And as you mentioned, Mac, the Bucks, the best team in the East and the best team in the league, in my opinion. And sure, they were missing Chris Middleton and Pat Connaughton, but they had their main guys intact and Giannis, Brook Lopez, Drew Holiday, and we were missing Trey. But man, that last night's game, Mac, that was our obviously the best win of the season. We got some momentum now, 3-0 in this month. We got the Jazz tomorrow night. I'm pumped, man. 7-3 is right around where I had this team projected. I actually said 8-2, but that Hornets loss kind of screwed us. But hey, I'll take 7-3 any single day.
Oh yeah, man. No, I'm happy with where it's at, and I'll have to look into this. I'll say this before we go into the recap of the next game. But if we end up winning against the Jazz tomorrow night, so the Jazz, I don't know if you guys have seen, are actually the number one seed in the West right now. So I don't know how many times in NBA history it's happened where back-to-back games a team has beaten the number one seed for both conferences in back-to-back games. So I don't know how many times in NBA history that's happened. So we'll see if the Hawks can pull off a win, and I'll do some research on that one and see if I can find if that's ever happened before. So,
Oh, and
um,
speaking of, before we get into that Knicks game, Mac, as we alluded to, we're 7-3 in our first 10 games of the season. That is the best start since the 2016-2017 season, where we actually started 10-3, surprisingly. And you guys want to know who our starting lineup was, Mac? Our starting lineup that year in the
I remember.
2016-2017 season, Dennis Schroeder, Kyle Korver was our backcourt. So Dennis and Kyle. We got Kent Bazemore at the three, Paul Millsap, and Dwight
Dwight
Howard.
Howard. Yep.
And that was the 7-3 start team. We made the playoffs that year, lost in the first round, pretty sure. But yeah, I mean, this is by far the best start in the Trey Young era. And man, DeJounte was worth every single penny that we paid him for. He was the reason why we won last night, or one of the main reasons. But man, yeah, we can dive into the Knicks game. We'll talk about the Bucks game in a second. But go ahead. Well,
Oh yeah.
how
No, no,
how'd you feel
man.
about the Knicks?
I love it though, man. You're just excited. I'm excited too, man. We're just pumped, man. We're
Yes,
excited about
sir.
our
Yes,
Hawks, man.
sir.
So I love it. But yeah, man, we'll go into this little Knicks recap here. Like you said, like not a knock to the Knicks at all, but they are, you know, a very mediocre team at this point. Maybe by the season's end that has changed, and you know they are a better basketball team. But right now, pretty middle of the pack. So with that being said, that's just a game that you want to win. And you know, I mean, I think anybody that watched that game, we were down by 23 points with like I think there was like 6 minutes left in the second quarter or something. Not looking great, man. I'll be honest, guys. I straight up almost turned it off. Like I really did. I was like, I don't know if I can do this, man. I was like, it's just not our night, you know. So to be down by 23 and obviously have a double digit win, and it be not that Trae Young went off in the Garden. It was actually DeJounte Murray who dropped his career high 36 points. Like DeJounte, like as the youth say today, he's got that dog in him, man. He is a difference maker. Like I truly think the Hawks are legitimate championship contenders this year, and it is because of DeJounte Murray. I'm telling you, man, that guy he's different, man. He's different. I know that's a hot take, man. I know it's a hot take, but I'm telling you, man, DeJounte is different. He is different, man. And
I mean, he is different, Matt. But you know, I got to see a little bit more the losses against the Raptors and Hornets. They were a bit
those are ugly
concerning.
losses.
So
I won't deny that, man. I won't deny that. But you know, like one of the notes I got right here, like DeJounte Murray is every big man's worst nightmare if they're handling the ball at the top of the paint, man. I don't know how many times I've seen him just yank that ball out of their hands this season. And each time, man, of course, he turns around that for 2 points. You do that in the playoffs, man, in a close game. That legitimately, man, could be the catalyst for you winning the game. So, you know, DeJounte is going to be different, man. And something that I noticed too, watching that Knicks game, especially when Trae went out, like the NBA at this point is a pick and roll league. Like that's just how offenses are ran. Like every team does it. Obviously, some teams are much better than others, right? We've always with Trae been a very good pick and roll team, but to watch DeJounte run the pick and roll with Trae obviously on the bench hurt and run it so successfully, and it almost feel like I'm watching Trae out there just a lengthier Trae. You know what I mean? And I don't know, man. It's to have that second guy. Like I know it feels like to opposing fan bases, we may be beating a dead horse at this point by saying like, man, we got our second guy. But guys, we got our second guy. Like DeJounte can
we
take
got
over a
our
game.
second guy.
He can take over a game, and something that you know, I don't know if this is, um, you know, because of their prior friendship or whatever it may be, but or even just the newness of it. Like maybe this could eventually wear off. But right now, man, when DeJounte is going off, whether Trae is injured or just on the bench, Trae is just grinning from ear to ear, man. Like he so happy for his guy out there. And like I'm sure you saw DeJounte's tweet
Shit, I
after.
would be too.
That's what I'm
Right?
saying.
Trey's had some of the worst roster personnel since he's been drafted. I mean, obviously, Travis Schlenk and the front office have done a great job surrounding him with better and better talent. But you know, this is our first legitimate second All Star, right? Like, I
Right.
mean, no one is happier to have DeJounte Murray on this team than Trae
Trae.
Young.
Exactly. No, so I mean, like it just, you know, to have that second guy, man, it's something huge, man. Cause like you know, like DeJounte on against the Knicks, it was one of those performances where basketball is a little bit of a unique sport in that, you know, I'm not saying that this can't happen in other sports, but one person truly can take over the game and truly can win you one given game. I mean, you know, with our generation, we've seen LeBron James do that time and time again, right? I'm not comparing DeJounte and LeBron on the skill set level, just saying that DeJounte took over that game, made big plays. He had 5 steals. I mean, not five. I think it was 6 steals.
Yeah, five steals,
Five
five
steals.
steals.
Yeah, 5 steals. Hit 5 threes. Like, I mean, the dude was just filling up the stat sheet everywhere. My girlfriend actually has him in fantasy. And he had like 70 fantasy points that night or something. Like, so DeJounte is just on a different level, man.
Yeah.
I'm incredibly excited about this guy.
Hey, you hit the nail on the head, Mac. Like, you know, basketball is the one sport. I mean, I guess you could throw, you know, hockey in there too, but you know, it's not like the NFL, it's not like the MLB. You only have five players on the court at a given time, right? So that one player can absolutely make differences. And that night against the Knicks, DeJounte Murray was definitely the hot hand, and both offensively, defensively. Trae only had 17 points that game. And in a game where Trae only scored 17, historically speaking, we're like, we typically lose those types of games, but you know, DeJounte Murray season high, career high, 36 points. Like you said, filled the stat sheet, but on elite efficiency, shot damn near 60% from the field, 40% plus from three, and was just a menace all over the court on the defensive end. So great win. I think that loss against the Raptors 2 nights before that um, was definitely put a bad taste in the team's mouths, and you
Oh yeah.
saw the team did a complete 180 defensively too since that Raptors loss, and we've just looked so much better. But yeah, man, that next game, great second villain in MSG. And then right after that game, we took on a very formidable opponent in the Pelicans back at home. How did that game go, Mac?
Yeah, that game was great. And I just want to add one last note about DeJounte's performance. So he's plus 26 on the night with 38 minutes. Plus 26 playing 38 minutes. That means that you were very efficient on the night, man. And I can't give that guy enough flowers right now. So but yeah, we'll move on to the Pelicans game. And this one, I'll be honest, it was admittedly a little frustrating just because I'm sitting there watching the game Saturday night. I had 3 TVs set up in my living room, 2 on college football, 1 on the Hawks game. And we were up, I want to say, by double digits in the fourth quarter. We were up decently big. And of course, Pelicans make that comeback towards the end of the game. Obviously, though, we end up winning in overtime. I think we honestly only 3-point win, but I think we dominated overtime. I really am kind of making that point, though, because great teams, basketball is a game of runs. All right. So it don't matter how great you are. You can go on a 12-0 run in the favor of the other team, right? Like that can happen to anybody. So the fact that happened to the Hawks at the end of the game isn't, too alarming to me. What would have been alarming to me is if in overtime it would have spilled over, the momentum kept for the Pelicans and the Pelicans pull off the win, right? But what I saw were the Hawks say, even at the end of regulation, like DeJounte hit 2 huge shots to tie the game.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
yeah, so to go into overtime and have that composure and know, like, guys, we've been playing better basketball than them all night. Let's just keep it up for 5 more minutes and we'll come out of here with a win. I think that shows a lot of growth out of this team, and I think that should be the main takeaway from the game. And the second main takeaway is Clint Capella is legit, guys. I mean, I'm not really saying that anybody's arguing that he's not legit, but anybody who thinks Clint's washed or doesn't have a place on this team, go back and watch that Pelicans game. I know it's 1 game out of 82 games, but guys, the man almost put up 20 and 20. Like, come on,
It was
man. That is
textbook Clint Capella performance.
oh
Also
yeah.
chipped in 4 blocks that game. So it was a great game. And like you said, I think the biggest takeaway for that was um defensively too. I don't want to overlook the defense because this is when we really started to see a shift in the defense. Trey was getting scrappy. He had 2 steals, a block that game in that Pelicans game. And we held the Pelicans to 5 points throughout the entire fourth quarter, basically until like the 4-minute mark. So they
Right.
got on that little quick 11-0 run, which kind of screwed things up. But the defense in that Pelicans game was fantastic. JC, Jalen Johnson, Onyeka, Clint, Zion had 7 turnovers that game, guys. Like you don't typically see that from Zion. He's very good with the ball, powerful, strong, a mini Giannis in a sense. And we were giving him fits. Like, sure, he still dropped 29 points, but was he that efficient? Actually, he was. He was fairly efficient, but it's the peskiness and the turnovers that were really the difference. Like he had by himself almost as many turnovers as the entire Pelicans team combined. So great performance. Another big takeaway was Trey Young. Like, yeah, he had 34 points, dropped 11 assists, great. But his shot wasn't really falling in the fourth quarter, especially. But what did he do, Mac? He deferred to DeJounte. DeJounte kind of took the team over in crunch time, and Trey wasn't, playing hero ball. He wasn't having a big ego or pouting. He just let DeJounte cook, and that's exactly why we got DeJounte, man. And all off season, you, me, and all Hawks fans, we've been talking about a bunch of stuff like in terms of, oh, it's so great to finally have that second star. It's finally great to have another ball handler that can take the pressure off Trey in these types of situations. And it's just a beautiful sight to see, to actually see that come to fruition and see it in real life. Like we were hoping that was going to be the case, but man, like DeJounte, like I can't sing his praises enough. Like it's awesome.
Oh yeah, no, these were a masterclass, these last 3 games by DeJounte for sure. And, bringing up Zion did have a great game. And, this isn't necessarily his fault, but in the overtime, I think it happened twice even, but there's one play that's definitely coming to mind. Defensive switch, he's on Trey, and Trey just cooks him. You know what I mean? And it's just one of those where, like I said, that's not his fault. Big men are going to get cooked by Trey. It doesn't really matter how great defensively you are, but just great to see that Zion had as good of a night as he did, but yet, came down to little Trey versus Zion, and he just scooted on past him. So, but yeah, no, I mean, it's like I said, you don't want to ever give up a lead like that late in the game, but the fact that we were able to hold on and win that game, I do think, it speaks volumes. I truly do. Again, I know this is something that our listeners who have listened to our podcast so far since we've created it, we've said this a few times, but I do think this is a game that last year we end up losing. I do think that's the difference of this year. And quite literally, it's not even just a culture change or a schematic change or anything like that. It's a personnel change. Literally, the last two shots the Hawks made in regulation were both made by DeJounte Murray, and both of them were to tie the game. Meaning, obviously, we were down by one possession. So I'm just saying, man, it's like you just said, can't sing his praises enough right now. And Trey 34 points on 9 of 26 shooting though, so you obviously want to see a little bit more efficiency out of him. But I think right now, when he shot 9 of 26, when I saw that at the end of the game, I go, well, his eye was swollen, half shut. You know what I mean? So I didn't invest too much into Trey having a little off night of efficiency wise, but we got the dub no matter what, and that's all that really matters, man. So
No doubt, no doubt. And we carried that dub last night against the Bucks, the league's best team, undefeated coming into last night's matchup. And they should have honestly been 8-1 or 7-1. I forget what their record was, but we should have won on the road in Milwaukee if the refs didn't bail them out. But hey, that's a topic for another day. I'm glad we got the revenge game last night, and we actually play the Bucks pretty soon again in like
next
another
Monday.
week and
Yep.
a half. Yeah, next Monday. So definitely going to be a strong test, and I'm sure the Bucks are going to be coming out swinging just like us after they just took an L in our home court. Is that a home game or an away game? Do you know?
I believe it's an away game.
An away game. Okay, but yeah, last night no Trey Young. He was listed as questionable. His right shin soreness was kind of news to all of us. I think we just found out about it like yesterday or the day before, and then he got downgraded to doubtful like 30 minutes before tip off, and then eventually was out. And I'll be honest, I had little to no faith. It's because of our performances against the Raptors and the Hornets and the Bucks prior. But hey, I'm glad to eat crow. I was glad to be wrong, and I think if anything, this game tells me and rest of the Hawks fans like this team is a lot different than last year. And obviously you can attribute a lot of that to DeJounte Murray and the swagger and that dog and the defense that he brings. But just collectively as a unit, I think it's contagious. Everyone was playing defense last night. Like that was by far, that and the Pelicans game were the two best defensive performances we've seen all season. And I'm very happy and pleased with Nate's rotations that game. Like he fed the hot hands, he rode the bench mob when we needed to. And that lineup of AJ Griffin, Jalen, and Okongwu and DeJounte Murray, woo, we need to see more of that. We need to see more of that.
Baby
I'm hoping
Hawks,
and praying
baby.
the baby Hawks. I hope this was, AJ Griffin's coming out party, right? And I think that game instilled some confidence in Nate because it wasn't against the Magic, it wasn't against the Rockets, it was against the Milwaukee Bucks, championship contending team, best team in the league, the number one defense in the league. AJ Griffin, what's he do? Give us 10 to 15 shooting, drops 24 points, 3 steals. The first rookie, by the way, to record 20 plus points and 3 or more steals this season. So big shout out to AJ. Onyeka Okongwu, Mac, are you kidding me? Like put Giannis in a straitjacket. And I said this in a show last night, but Giannis Antetokounmpo for this entire season in their first 10, 11 games or so has a positive plus minus in the BPM category. He's like plus 100 throughout the season. Against us, his only 2 negative plus minus games were against us. He was negative 22 last night, which was the second worst on the Bucks, and negative 10 that first matchup. And you don't want to know why? It's because of Clint Capella and Onyeka Okongwu. And then you could even throw Jalen Johnson in that category too now. He was putting Giannis in clamps and Rikers Island one-on-one, got that nasty block on him. That should have been an offensive foul because he pushed off his shoulder. But man, our man, I can't speak enough about some of these young guys, AJ, Onyeka, Jalen. Woo! I'll take a breather there. What were your thoughts about last night's game?
No, man, I'm right there with you, man, baby Hawks. But before I go into my analysis, why don't you pay some bills around this place for us, Alex? And
Oh
shout
yes, of course,
shout
of
shout out
course.
our buddies over at Firmament Solutions.
Yes, yes. Firmament Solutions are good guys. Local company based out of Atlanta, Georgia. Guys, if you are reaching to build a physical network for the future, only networks that can scale with technology will do. So call your guys at Firmament Solutions, the industry leader in information highway construction building. These guys are backed by leading manufacturers. Their services are white label as well. So you can actually present them as your own if you're a business. Their clients get the contracts. Firmament provides the services. And you can learn all about what they do at firmamentsolutions.com. Again, that's www.firmamentsolutions.com. Go check them out. They're good people and they do really good work. So shout out to those guys.
Oh yeah, shout out Firmament, guys. Appreciate the partnership. Yeah, so we'll go into my recap of it. Obviously, just as excited as you are, as everyone else is. AJ Griffin's coming out party. I started on Twitter last night. I'm officially starting here. AJ Griffin Rookie of the Year campaign starting now. So that could very well happen.
Absolutely.
Not to bring up Twitter too much either, but I tweeted last night something that I kind of want to comment on the episode here is that if we end up winning this game without Trey, we are a top 4 seed, no doubt, right? And really, my thinking behind that was I think of Memphis last year. I know Ja missed. I don't remember how many games, but it was a significant amount. And let's just say it was 15 games. I can't remember the exact amount. They went like 13.
I think it was like 23 games or
Yeah,
something.
it
Was
was
like
over
20
20. I was
plus.
about to say I don't want to sound crazy, but I was like, I feel like I remember it being over 20. The record was like 20-1 or 20-2 with him being out. Like point being is that Ja is clearly the best player on the Grizzlies. Like it's no contest. Just like Trey, sure, DeJounte is a close second, but Trey is clearly the best player on our team, right? So if Trey's not playing and we're playing one of the best teams in the league, like, are we going to be able to win that game? Is that something that we can do without him? And I know Memphis didn't win a championship last year, but Memphis was, if I'm remembering correctly, the 2nd seed in the West. So point
Yeah,
being is that
I think they made the Western Conference Finals. I
they
think
did. Yeah, and
they did,
so
right? Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they did. And really point I'm making is that if your star player, your clear-cut star player is out and you are able to have that complete of a game, I just think, man, you got to understand that is depth and that it's something that bodes well for the team. And I just thought about that after last night's win. I was like, man, Trey didn't even play, and we waxed these boys. So yeah, some of my notes, like I said, baby Hawks shining in the wind, AJ Griffin, Jalen Johnson, Onyeka, Giannis is officially in my mind. Onyeke's, I can't say it, but it rhymes with itch. He's officially got that dude in a cellar. I'm serious, man. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, Giannis's body language and facial expression legitimately looks like he is scared of Onyeka. Does not want to contest against him. Just I don't know, man. I don't know. I could be wrong on that one, but it feels like Onyeka is legitimately in Giannis's head at this point. So, speaking of Onyeka too, those who are watching the game on the local broadcast, Bob Rathbun is just an absolute gem. Onyeka from the rafters, what an amazing call. So anybody who knows Bob Rathbun is the man. But yeah, man, it's last night's game. I think it's hard to talk about anything other than AJ. AJ had such a coming out party. He commented to the media after the game. He said his teammates feel like family, and for a young guy in the league. And I'm not saying that Jalen wasn't well received by his teammates, but I don't know if you asked Jalen Johnson in November of 2021 how he feels about his teammates if he's going to say that it feels like family. You know what I mean? So AJ has clearly come in here and just meshed with the team. It's been a very, very easy transition, and I'm excited. I'm laughing, man, because I feel like I'm just repeating myself over here, but I'm pumped, dude. I'm excited. This is a good time to be a Hawks fan.
Yeah, man, it's that game last night was awesome. I mean, Giannis is still Giannis. Don't get me wrong; he's the most dominant player in the league, probably current day. But I will say, Onyeka definitely has his number. I'm just hoping and praying that Giannis doesn't, go berserk on us next time we play them next week. But yeah, I mean, Onyeka, this started back in the Eastern Conference Finals of the playoffs 2 years ago, and I don't know what it is, but Onyeka definitely. I mean, he's proving to people why he was taken number 6 overall, like his defensive versatility, his rebounding, his athleticism, his putbacks. And now, we even saw a couple of nice little mid-range shots. We saw that sprinkled in the first few games of the season, but he should have hit three. The third one that he hit from like the free throw line was in and out, but that's okay. He had two monstrous putback dunks on, of course, Giannis Antetokounmpo. So all in all, great game. 3-0 for the month of November. And we still have a tough stretch of games. These next like 6, 7 games, we're playing pretty much all playoff caliber teams. We won't get into every single one, but we'll just quickly do a quick preview on our next game that's happening tomorrow night at this time of this recording, which is against the Utah Jazz. As Mac alluded to earlier, they are the number 1 seed in the West as of today. Right? What's the date? November 8th. They are 9-3, which is pretty shocking, to me personally, because they were projected to be one of the worst teams. They're supposed to be in a complete rebuild, getting away kind of their two franchise cornerstones in Mitchell and Gobert. But I think we're going to win this game, and we should win this game. We have more talent, but I will say they got like 7 to 9 very, very quality rotation players in the league. Like these are legitimate NBA players. They don't have a single superstar like we do in Trey, and I don't even think they have a player in DeJounte Murray's caliber either. But when you look at their lineup 1 through 8, 9, these guys are all they can score. They can score, and I don't have the stats in front of me, Mac, but they're one of the best scoring teams in the NBA. It's not like top three. And you can see kind of their recent games. They've been blowing teams out by double digits like almost every single game. So these guys are the real deal. And it's going to be another big test for us, but I'm expecting another dub.
Oh yeah. No, I think the Jazz, like you kind of alluded to earlier, this is my note, definitely the biggest surprise of the NBA season so far. I don't think anyone predicted them to be 9-3, especially Danny Ainge. um,
Exactly.
but as again, like you said, it's just because it's filled with solid players. They don't have a superstar, no, but Jordan Clarkson, Mike Conley, I pretty sure Markkinen is there. Lauri Markkinen is there.
Yeah, Lauri Markkanen's balling for them. He's
Yeah,
actually their
yeah,
leading scorer. He
yeah,
might win MIP this year. I mean, if he keeps this up, he's going to be at like a top 3 candidate for most improved, honestly.
yeah.
The dude is balling out of his mind.
I wouldn't be surprised, man. And last thing I'll say on it, I agree with you. I do think it will be a dub. I don't think it'll be an easy one by any means. I just think we're kind of on a little bit of a run right now, and but so are they. So it'll be an unexpectedly very good game, because I'll be honest, as a season ticket holder, when I saw that we were coming into a back-to-back, because we play Jazz at home tomorrow and then the Sixers at home on Thursday, I was like, oh man, that's going to be crazy, but the Jazz game will mean nothing. And I mean, the Sixers game is still important, but as we say that the Jazz have been the biggest surprise in the positive sense of the NBA season, I think the biggest disappointment has definitely been the Sixers so far. I know Harden going down obviously affects them a little bit, but Embiid hasn't been too healthy either. But I feel like he's always a little banged up. Doesn't matter though, man. They were supposed to be a championship caliber team, so to have the start to the season they've had is definitely not something that they're um, you know should too happy about. So I think to wrap up my preview for the games, I do think we'll beat the Jazz. I think it'll be a close one. And I do think we'll split the games with the 76ers, unfortunately. I don't know if basically if we win our home game and we win, the back to back, which is a hard thing to do whenever you're playing any team in the NBA, I think we would potentially lose the one in Philly. But if Philly sneaks one against us on Thursday in Atlanta, I do think we would get our revenge game in Philly on Saturday. So we'll
Yeah,
see what happens,
absolutely.
guys. It's Phillies are not in a hot spot right now. Jazz are the exact opposite. They're trending up. I think I said Phillies. 76ers are trending down. So we'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens. But 3 games in a row, guys, and hopefully when we record our next episode, it's another 3 wins.
Exactly, exactly. And just to put in perspective, the last thing I'll say about the Jazz is they have 6 players on that team averaging double digits, right? That's more than us. We only have 4. Obviously, we have 2 top heavy, 2 plus 20-point scorers. The only 20-point scorer they have is Laurie Markkinen. But yeah, it's going to be a great game. And to your point, I think we should win tomorrow night, and then we should hopefully get that back-to-back dub against the Sixers because Harden is out. Embiid still is kind of day to day with his lingering injury, so we'll see what happens. But as you mentioned, hopefully by the next week's episode, we're talking about this win streak still being alive and well, and we'll be celebrating some more. But appreciate you guys listening to us, and make sure you follow us on all our socials: Instagram, Twitter, the podcast at HawksFanTV. Again, my name is Alex. Brought to you. My name is Alex with my co-host Mac. And appreciate you guys listening, man. Go Hawks.
Yeah, man, go Hawks. We appreciate the support and the following, and just be looking out for more content, more episode, guys.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you guys.
Good night, guys.